Hello, welcome back here to Leading Our Own Way, right here on your YouTube channel. It's part 5. It's part 5 with Aaron, and today we're going to really focus on just pieces of gems, advice for the future, and we talk about his future plans and how he just rolls with it. I just love his lifestyle. It's absolutely incredible. And we always finish the episodes here on Leading Our Own with purpose, a bit of advice, future plans, and that's pretty much where we wrap it up. But it's some really powerful gems to take away, so stick around, and if you've missed, please go back and watch 1 to 4 before tuning in today. Otherwise it won't make sense here on Leading Our Own Way. We do it this way on YouTube, 5 parts each week. On Spotify it's usually part 1 and 2, but this week on Spotify and Apple it was part 1, 2 and 3 with Aaron. Right, well, enjoy the episode, and here's the final part with Aaron. You had another thing affect you in your life growing up as a young adult. I think you were fairly young. I remember you telling me in the pre-chat, living in these small towns. When I first came here, it was a bit of a culture shock. I lived in Ballarat briefly. My friend who I was living with went and worked in Ararat, so I stayed in Ararat, and all I saw at night was people where there's a roundabout on either side and people would just go cruising. Just these young people going up and down in the car around, because they didn't really have much to do in these towns. There wasn't a movie theatre. Well, Ballarat there was, but Ararat, I didn't remember a movie theatre. There was barely anything there. There was a little jail over there, and the cute, or whatever. You know, you can see the picture I'm trying to paint. So cars were a big thing, and I know you, something happened to you regarding your license.
Yeah, I lost my license when I was like early 20s, and drink
Was
driving.
that big for you? Was that?
Like I remember it as being I was on a pathway of self-destruction, so just a lot of drinking, but no one had ever asked me why I behaved that way, you know.
Yeah.
So a lot of that was to deal with that shit that happened when I was 14. It was never expressed, and just drinking being normal in those towns, and you know, as you said, like doing the lappies and that, and you know, really disconnection from good, healthy, masculine people. So you know, I drank, drove. I went to court. I actually could have went to jail, they told me, but I didn't. I got a 2-year suspended sentence. So it was 2-year loss of license. So I sat that out. A couple of years later, I did the same thing again.
Oh, wow, did you? Oh, no way.
Did it again, yeah. So luckily no one was hurt or anything like that, but same thing, you know, why is the behaviour happening? Rather than punishing the behaviour, you know, why is the behaviour happening, and working
Why
with
was it
that.
happening for you? Now you're self-reflective, now you're self-aware, and you've looked deep into your soul. Why did it happen to you looking back?
I wasn't living in my authenticity, and I wasn't living into the real Aaron. I was living in a distressed, disconnected Aaron, which was, you know, masking his wounds by suppressing them and not feeling safe with someone to talk about them, because there's a lot of shame in a country town like Ararat. And Horsham's just up the road from Ararat. And that's where Damien, my mate, was from, Ararat. You know, took his life. Yeah, so you see where it comes from? It comes from that sort of environment where men don't feel safe, and they just are bored and that type of thing, you know. So that's why those behaviours start to come about, and that's really what happened to me. And you know, if I can help a young man or a man in general, like, learn to be aware of that, so they don't behave that way. So they've got to deal with the consequences later. You work upstream and intervene before it becomes a problem, and that's really what it's all about, you know. Help those guys flick the switch before it becomes a problem.
That flicking the switch, then that pivotal moment for you, where and when do you think that real signal of pivotal change occurred in your life?
It started, my wife and I met not long after that second offence, and she was really compassionate. She didn't care, you know. She was just happy to have a good person in her life, you know. And, our son was born a few years later, and I realised then that I needed to stop smoking because I was holding him, and I'm sure there was cigarette smoke on my clothes. So I just stopped smoking. And then the drinking started to change a little bit. It took a while, but it started to change. And as I said, when I turned 37, when he was probably 8, that's when I hit the gym, and that's when things started to really change, because I started to feel okay, a little bit like myself again, rather than sort of not. So I didn't want to like do all the good work in the gym and then have to get smashed and then have to work harder and that sort of thing. So that's where it all started to shift then. And obviously those examples played good examples to them, because they both go to the gym now and they look after themselves. And but
that's from
a lot of the things that I taught them after that process was to do what it is that makes them happy. Don't do things because they think they have to or whatever. Do things that make them happy. And both of them are very good sportsmen. I think they could have went to the top level in both soccer and AFL. And I, having worked in that system myself, I saw it very much like a corporation, with players. So they had that awareness, and some of their friends went to the AFL, some of their friends went to the A-League. And, I just sort of, they were aware before, they got to that point of making that choice whether they go there or not, to say, well, no, that's probably not for me, because I want to do what it is that makes me happy.
Good on them. And they got that from you. They got that from you.
Yeah. And that's part of that thing that happened to me when I was 15. So you got to go through this so you can come out the other side of it, Yeah,
crisis equals change, doesn't it, sometimes, most of the time?
Yeah. And see, a lot of us aren't taking in those messages. There's messages coming in. We are guided in many ways. We just got to sit and listen and go deep and start to see what really our truth is behind it all, and then start to work at life from that place. I think that's where we can start to live in empowerment rather than disempowerment. And it can be a wonderful life if you start to do that rather than being, worried and in fear all the time.
Yeah, we're just distracted, aren't we? Massively. Yeah, everyone's distracted.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yep.
Coming towards the 3 final questions then of the show. Before I get there, I want to ask you, so people can take away, well, what does Aaron do now then on a daily basis as a morning routine to set yourself up well? What are some of the things that you do?
You want me to use this morning as an example?
Let's do it.
So I'm quite fortunate, rather than have to drive to the gym, I've got a rowing machine, I've got a treadmill, I've got weights, I've got stair climbers, I've got all this stuff. Skipping rope's probably my favourite, which doesn't cost much. A heavy skipping rope is the best. So it's an hour of exercise. So just start to finish, reasonable tempo, get the breath into a rhythm, get to the end of it. 10 years ago I'd do a couple of hours or more, intense. But I've learned that I don't need to do that anymore. But I just need to keep a tempo up that can get the sweat happening in the body. I think it's very good for men to sweat every day, or most days. So we can flush the toxins and this, that, the other, and clear the mind. So it's that. Finish that off. Stretch. So do some physical practice of yoga asana, and then it's meditation. So sitting in meditation for a period of time, whatever I need on that day. It's not saying I'm doing this for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. It's just like tuning in again and starting to get back to a feeling of acceptance and gratitude, because otherwise the mind will take us to, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, this, that, the other. Go and check bloody the iPad, go and check the phone. I can get sort of sucked back into that loop if I'm not careful too. So, as I mentioned before, this is a year of getting back to the roots of it all and starting to keep life simple, because I know when I'm living from that place, that's when things work better. That's for sure.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I'm still not there. I know I'm aiming to get my phone out of the bedroom, and I still, when I wake up, look at it, partly to look at the time, but then obviously when you see the time, what else is going on there too? I did want to. Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. I'm definitely there. I'm very mindful of it, and I'm working towards it. But it's those small, simple steps, isn't it? One picture I did want to show, because obviously we've seen a side of you that doesn't really portray this side of you, but you do a lot of things. You said one of them before that you work with the Tasmanian government. Do you work with any other government places now currently to help around mental health for men in particular?
Yeah, it's pretty much by invitation. So if a company asks
Yep.
me to go in and speak, I absolutely will. I love it, and I don't beat around the bush. You know, a lot of people are just like very guarded with the way they talk. They might bring a bloody script in, but I'll just
Yes.
talk about my own story, and this is what I believe we need to start doing as guys. I think that's really important because if we don't, have these stories of lived experience out there, people can connect with them. If someone's in that room and they can see shit, a men's circle will help me, then bang. And I get women coming up after it saying, "Can I have your card because I want to give it to my husband or my son or my brother or whatever." And that's wonderful. Like to be able to speak to a group of people. I've done it in front of hundreds, and it's no different than me talking to you now.
Yeah.
It's natural to do that. I don't get intimidated by a group of professionals or whatever because I know they're not living in their authentic self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was this one then? What type of event was this? What the picture that I'm holding up for anyone that is on Apple, on Spotify and YouTube, you should be able to see it. But Aaron speaking in an event with a shirt on, which you don't. I guess you don't wear very often.
Don't like to dress up too much, but
I didn't think you would.
that's in Ballarat.
Oh, right, cool.
Yeah, last October at St Pat's College.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, so they put on this event because a group of guys, one of their friends took his life a few years ago. So they do this annual thing to raise awareness and raise money for men's mental health. So they got me to go down and speak, and it's really good. So the more of that I can do, the better, because that's where I can make an impact. When you've got critical mass there. And also it's going to workplaces and showing, one or two of the documentaries that we've made and trying to show strong evidence around, prevention as being a real thing and starting to help people, take charge of their life. I think it's really the important thing rather than just living in, as I said, suffering consistently because it's not really our birthright to do that. Happiness is our birthright, but actually like feeling that and experiencing it, not going back to fear all the time is the trick. It takes work and it takes practice. That's why I do what I do every morning. So that's technically 10% of my day to do that. But even if it's 1% of your day, if someone can just commit 1% of their day to their well-being as soon as they get up, it can have a tremendous effect on their day, but also everyone else around them as well.
And we'd have better leaders in the workplace because, as you know, my trauma was a workplace bullying. And I do truly believe if these people were able to wake up and have purpose in their life, living with purpose, they'd be able to get up and lead with purpose. And when they lead with purpose, none of this other stuff, well, not none, but a lot of this other stuff at workplaces, people, chronic stress, reducing chronic, all this wouldn't happen. I mean, in a way, I'm kind of glad it happened to me because going what you said, I won't be sat here speaking to you if it didn't happen to me. Right. But I am passionate about going into workplaces and really helping leaders to lead themselves and with purpose before they lead others with purpose, because you can't lead other people and influence other people if you're not. It's that whole aeroplane mentality, put the mask on yourself before you help somebody else type scenario. And I've realized that as a father, I had a son, and in the real world, I should be going, oh, he's changed me and he's made me happy. I'm going to be brutally honest. Didn't change me. I wasn't that happy. I was brain fogged. I'd had this amazing thing in here, and that was my old childhood stuff coming up. Right? I wasn't phased. Did I love him? Of course, I loved him. It's not that I hated him, and I didn't hurt him. But I didn't rush home to be with them. I didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
It kills me to say it, but it's the truth.
Yep. I agree. And see, that was the conditioning that came from my dad and so forth too. And I wish I had that time again. I was working away a lot because I was probably avoiding being home in many ways too. But I wish I had that time again. As I said, my kids are good, but I'd love to just give them a 5-minute hug and just we move through stuff. It's like that get on with it type mentality, which we've all sort of been brought into, which is not great. But I think we can change at any time.
That's why I became a casual teacher, because if I was a full-time, I'm full-time, but I work 9 till 3 and I come home and I'm present with my kids. It's created time physically, mentally for me to do the podcast and do other things that I want to go in the direction to, but also being able to coach my son's basketball, be at home with my children earlier. Have I sacrificed money? Yes. People keep saying to me, so when are you going to go back and teach? No. stop asking me that question.
Yeah.
I am not going back. I get to meet incredible people like yourself on a daily basis that I get to speak and learn from. It's my own little diary, and it's going to give me the wealth of knowledge to go into the world and speak to people, travel, fly, drive to Melbourne, speak to businesses, schools, podcasts. And then when the kids get home, I get to be with them. And like you said, I don't mean this with disrespect. I don't want that regret. I feel like I've got that foresight, and it's people like you are helping me realize that before I go down that route and go, I wish. There'll be something I wished of course. There'll be something of regret, of course. There always is. But it's about limiting those as much as you can, right?
Spot on. Yeah, you realize when those moments come, you can turn left or right, and usually it's being able to get out of this into this again and starting to like feel what the impact of it may be. Yeah. And that's a real skill that we've all got. We just got to like refine it and start to make those choices from an authentic place, as you mentioned, and what the outcomes of that can possibly be. And we have those moments that happen in our life all the time, but it's just it's about that awareness, because we've really been educated to support the economy and be in that like critical thinking mind all the time. But you can learn to loop that back, which is getting back to that birthright, as I mentioned. Of happiness, then you'll start to, the truth will start to appear more and more. I think it's really key.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, I could talk to you for hours, and I've promised my viewers I'll shorten my episodes, and we're going on. So I will. I could do this and spread this for weeks. I really, really could. But our 3 final questions, because it's been very insightful. I've learned so much from you, and I know everybody will be able to take so much pieces of gems from you into their life, and build awareness around mental well-being for men as well, not just women, but for men where the focus lies. Future plans. I like people to understand it's not the end of the journey with how you're leading your own way. It's not the stop. It's a continuous journey to the point we die. What are your future plans then?
Do you know what? I don't have any. I honestly don't have like I've got to achieve this by then, or I want to achieve that by whenever. Sure. I just let it happen. And without any expectations, because if we could start going into expectations and then they're not met, then we start to go downhill from a mental health perspective, if that makes sense, It
does.
So it's important to have those goals too, but if you're too fixed and stuck on them, it's probably potentially problematic. But I don't. I just sort of get out of the road and just let things happen and try and be conservative with that. I've got to the point with this charity now where it could have went that way or this way, and if I keep it this way, I'm going to be more happier. If it goes that way, it just becomes a Pandora's box and part of the system. And I just think we just need to be able to do more grassroots, grounded, education, which can help the average person, from an authentic place that we keep referring to. Rather than just, sticking a poster up and, taking donations from people, but not actually giving anything back. So, for me personally, it's not a goal, but I think we can have 100 men's circles, in a year or two. But it just takes me to get a bit of a hand to possibly do that. But I'm not going to go and do it because it will potentially cause suffering if I'm not careful. I need to make sure it's done from a place of we can do this as a collaborative, and we can do this because we want to help communities rather than just what the outcomes are going to be. If you look at the mental health space, it's all about ticking the box. It's all about doing this, doing that, but it doesn't work. It doesn't, and they keep throwing money at that. And I won't get money thrown my way because I'm working upstream, and the downstream stuff is where it's all at. So, I don't have any goals around any of that. I just sort of,
It's the same in the education system, mate. That's why I can't do it anymore, Anyway, that's a whole different episode within itself, to be honest. But your purpose then. Oh, sorry, go on.
Just one other thing. We've just developed some emotional literacy training for adults and also kids.
Nice.
So it's about trying to provide what we've spoken about today, but giving, aligned curriculum in the schools.
Yeah.
And also, education for adults to be able to, get back to being more emotionally conscious at the end of the day. So that's a bit of a driver for me as well, to start to get that out there.
I could get that into Victorian schools for you around this area.
I'll send you some info for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, definitely. Final question then, Aaron, before I let you go. Your purpose, it usually gets answered in the episode. It's usually very clear, but I do ask the guest to put it into a simple line. And I think you're very in tune with this, so it'll be very simple. But Aaron, what is your purpose?
Well, I suppose first and foremost is to have a good relationship with myself. And if that can continue to evolve, I've still got a bit of work to do, I think. That can continue to evolve. If I'm living from an authentic, I keep using the word authentic, but a peaceful place, that's when I can be my best to the world. And I think we've all got that gift inside of us, we really have. Yeah. And my purpose in general is to be able to help more people heal, particularly men, learn to heal and learn to take charge of their life rather than be in turmoil and out of control. Yeah. We don't have to be in this dependency cycle all the time. We can be independent and we can start to, live life from a place of it being a gift rather than a place of being, suffering all the time. And I just think that's what we've got to start to work towards as a society. And the more we can plant seeds at that level, I think the more we're going to empower people to go to that pathway. So I guess that's my purpose without being too driven, because I know if I'm too driven, it's not good for my own mental health. Yeah. So but I guess working towards that is something I'd like to do more of for sure.
Beautiful. What an inspirational episode. So much information, so much guidance. It's just beautiful. Thank you for joining me on my journey, Aaron. You've got an incredible journey. A lot of people can take a lot away from you, and you're making a difference, and I know you'll continue to make a difference. So, but more importantly, thank you for spending an hour and a half with me. It's been incredible. I've loved meeting you. Let's stay in contact. Let's be mates, and you'll change the world together for sure.
Appreciate it, mate. I'll be down there next month, so I hope we'll catch up with you.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Well, everybody else, thank you for tuning in to Leading Our Own Way. Thanks for joining Aaron on his way, and thanks for joining me on my journey. Come back next week for another amazing guest here on Leading Our Own Way. Until then, keep leading your own way and have a great week, everybody. Bye for now. We'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers, Aaron. That's a wrap. This powerful episode of Leading Our Own Way this week with Aaron. We've covered some deeply personal and important conversation about mental health, healing, and breaking the cycles that hold us back. Aaron shared his journey from the trauma of losing his best mate to suicide, the painful experience of his past, and turning the points that led him to his purpose. We explored the pressure men face in silence, the importance of emotional literacy, and why connection and community are key to healing. We also talked about grounding, self-love, and the role of men's circles in creating safe spaces for real transformation. But most importantly, Aaron's story, well, it reminds me that healing isn't just about looking back, it's about taking action and taking action today. Whether it's through nutrition, mindfulness, or simply having the courage to speak up, first of all, there's always a way forward. That we have choices. If this episode resonated with you, though, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's keep these conversations going, and let's keep continuing leading our own way. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great weekend. Thanks for listening and watching Leading Our Own Way. So we can stay together forever and share more incredible journeys, please subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss next week's episode and what that amazing guest has to offer to the world. Please support Leading Our Own Way, and we'll get you on next week's episode.